Can everybody hear me? Oh, yes, you can. Good evening, everyone. It's my pleasure to welcome you to Sachem PTA Council's Meet the Candidate Night. My name is Annie Favis. I am the president of Sachem PTA Council, and it is my pleasure to introduce our moderator, timekeeper, and helper from Suffolk Region, Jerry Coleman Odom, Margaret Barrett, and Christine Wasnowski. I'm going to ask. I'm going to ask if everyone can please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. At this time, I'm going to pass things over to Jerry, who is our moderator for the evening.
Thank you, Annie. Good evening. You can hear me, right? Okay. I'm going to first introduce the candidates. Oh, is it on? Oh, there it goes. Okay. I'm going to introduce the candidates, and then I just have some guidelines I have to read. Okay. We have Mr. Matthew Bauman. Mr. Christopher Buckley Jr., Mr. Robert Scavo, and Ms. Stephanie Volpe. Okay. The following guidelines for the evening must be adhered. No letters or statements by absentee candidates will be read. Only the candidates present may speak. There will be a moderator and a timekeeper from Suffolk Region PTA. Each candidate will be allowed 3 minutes to make a presentation stating qualifications and reasons for running. When the 3 minutes are up, the timekeeper will ring a bell to signify that the statement must be completed. All questions will be written on index card, reviewed, and selected by the moderator. Questions will be asked of all candidates. Any questions to only one individual or those which contain personal attacks will be discarded. The moderator will make the final decision regarding questions. You may not necessarily hear your question in the way it was written. We may get questions that are similar in context, so we'll group them together because we're not going to ask the same question 4 and 5 times. Okay. Each candidate is given the opportunity to answer each question in 1 minute. When the minute is up, the timekeeper will ring the bell. Ring the bell, Margaret. When the minute is up, okay, no rebuttals are allowed during the question and answer period. Each candidate will be allowed 2 minutes to make a closing statement after the last question has been answered. At this time, candidates may make rebuttals. The length of the program will be determined by the moderator prior to the beginning of the evening. We're going to go along and see how many questions we have. We usually run about 90 minutes, give or take. But there is a Ranger game on, but I'm just saying, okay. I'm just joking. Oh, this is live. Oh my gosh. Okay. Presentations will be in alphabetical order. Closing statements will be in reverse. When we ask a question, Matthew, you will answer the first question. The second question, Christopher, you will begin that question, and we'll go on that way. No literature may be given out at this meeting by the candidate or the candidate's supporters. The moderator reserves the right to end the program at any time if they deem necessary. Okay? All right. You ready? Okay. Matthew, please, with your opening statement.
Good evening. My name is Matthew Bauman, and I'm running for re-election to the Sachem Board of Education. I'm going to have to read fast. I would like to thank the PTA for planning this event and giving the candidates a chance to be heard by the community. I'd also like to thank the other candidates for their willingness to serve on this board and to help guide the district towards providing the very best education to our Sachem students. Here are some fun facts about me. I have dedicated my entire life to working with children. Although I'm not a Sachem graduate, my beautiful wife is. I did grow up right next door in Bayport. I'm a proud Army veteran. I've been a special education teacher, English, for 26 years. I've worked at the same summer camp for 36 years, so I stick around. We have lived in Holbrook for almost 16 years, and I've been married for 24 years, and we have 3 beautiful children. Richard, who's graduated, who's now in the military. Olivia's graduated in 2022. She's in college. And my youngest is Jacob, who is currently a 6th grader at Seneca. 3 years ago, I made the decision to run for the Sachem School Board because I wanted to be a positive influence for the students here in Sachem. And here are some of the highlights that I am most proud of. Helping navigate the district through COVID successfully. I voted yes in implementation of one-to-one Chromebooks for every Sachem student and teacher in the district, for the collaboration with Northwell Health Medical Group, and for the installation of security vestibules at our schools, new cameras, and the license scanners that are all designed to help protect our children. I've supported smaller class sizes, the 9th period day, and new electives and clubs being added. I brought the idea to start a middle school tennis program at Sachem, and it's turned out to be very successful and very positive experience for many of our 7th and 8th grade students. There have been many more instances where I believe I have made sound decisions that have benefited all Sachem students. During my 3 years on the board, I have attended many school functions, showed my support to our students and staff. I've served on the Diversity Committee and the Health and Safety Save Committee. Thank you. I hope to get your support.
Thank you. Christopher?
Good evening, everyone. I want to thank the PTA Council for putting on this event. Thank you to my fellow candidates for coming, the Sachem staff and community who's present and watching online. And most importantly, thank you to my wife and family for their support. My name's Christopher Buckley Jr., and I've been a resident of the Sachem community for over 30 years. My wife and I have been together since high school and have 4 amazing children. My eldest is in Sagamore, my middle 2 are in Linwood, and my youngest is in a CPSE program. As a potential board member trustee, there are qualifications that I bring to the table that will assist in moving our school district along the right path. I have a bachelor's degree in business administration from St. Joseph's College and over 8 years of financial planning experience. Not only am I the owner and operator of a local family business, but I'm also the membership chair of the Linwood PTA, on the Budget Advisory Committee, and in the Farmanville Chamber of Commerce and Residents Association. I've also been on the Legislative Committee and plan on being a part of the Curriculum Committee next year. This experience facilitates a greater understanding and ability to contribute to enhancing student achievement and development of leadership skills for the next generation. When deciding to run for trustee, I reached out to Dr. Pelletieri and some of our current and former board members. I really want to have a well-rounded idea about what this position entails and the issues they feel are important to the district. The most important topic was always the children and how we can advocate for more. As a parent, it's our responsibility to make sure that our children have the tools they need to thrive in their education, as well as set them up for a successful journey in life. As a member of the Sachem community, the education of our children and the funding of programs to better that education is of the utmost importance to me. I want to continue to help build upon the foundation set forth by our current and previous boards to ensure that our children have the educational support that they need to become life ready. Improving the ability to communicate openly and effectively with the community, parents, staff, and administration, as well as ensure fiscal responsibility and accountability throughout the district is my top priority. Thank you.
Thank you, Christopher. Robert?
Good evening. My name is Robert Scavo, and I'm running for re-election to the Sachem Board of Education. First, I'd like to take the time to thank the PTA Council and others for organizing and devoting their time for the planning of this evening's event. I'd also like to commend all of the other candidates I sit before you tonight for wanting to volunteer their time and knowledge for the sake of bettering the lives of our Sachem children in the Sachem community. 17 years ago, I embarked on a journey when I ran and was elected to Sachem Board of Education for the first time. A journey that's allowed me to meet and work with some of the most dedicated board members that I've ever met. I've been privileged to meet many community members, from senior citizens that have lived in the Sachem community their entire lives to the children that attend our schools each day. I've met and worked with many talented and dedicated staff members, from administrators to facilities members, secretaries, security guards, and nurses, as well as the best educators you can ever ask for that make Sachem a world-class educational institution. I've seen students achieve goals that thought they never were possible, and I've handed diplomas to thousands of Sachem graduates that will go on and be very successful in life and continue to make us proud for decades. In my opening remarks, in my very first Meet the Candidates night in Samoset in 2006, I made some comments and promises to the community that I would uphold once elected. They included such things such as serve as a voice and advocate for children of Sachem and support only the highest educational opportunities, to be fiscally responsible to taxpayers by developing taxpayer-sensitive budgets, to put the concerns of our children and community first when making difficult decisions, and to support educational programs that lead to improved student achievement and success. When I look back over the last several years, I'm truly proud of the accomplishments that I was part of. Just to highlight some of the successful initiatives during my board tenure, they include the planning and approval of implementation of one-to-one Chromebook devices for all of our children, providing them with the necessary technology for a 21st century education. I supported and voted yes to participate in the Northwell Health Consortium, which gives our students preferential support for mental health services with doctors and specialists within the Northwell Medical Group. I helped develop, support, and voted yes to the Smart Schools Bond that led to the installation of security vestibules, state-of-the-art camera systems, as well as license plate scanners at each of our buildings to help protect our children from outside threats while in the school. I voted yes to provide tax relief for our brave men and women of armed forces that serve the great nation and are members of the Sachem community. I made motions on the board floor to lower and reduce class sizes during multiple years, reducing class sizes at elementary school levels where they exist today. And I fought to restore co-curricular educational opportunities for all our students, which helps them grow, expand their knowledge, and extend their educational experiences. As my voting record demonstrates, I've always put the education of our students above everything else that Sachem has to offer. It was one of the comments that I made 17 years ago when I was elected to the board for the first time, my number one priority moving forward. Thank you.
Thank you. Stephanie?
I am nervous. I'd like to thank everybody involved and everybody here and the candidates. I'm Stephanie Volpe, and I'm running for re-election for Sachem School Board of Education trustee. I'm a Sachem North graduate and a mom of 2 children, one with special needs who graduated last year, and another one who's a 9th grader at Sachem East. I married another Sachem graduate, and we purchased our home here 24 years ago to start a family and raise our kids here in Sachem. I have been an involved advocate and volunteer for the past 19 years, whether it's through volunteering and giving students amazing experiences here at Sachem through the PTA, to keeping Sachem up to the times with the technology and Wi-Fi one-to-one devices like Chromebooks, to advocating for our fair share of funding for our district, for safe schools, for security enhancements, and finally to keeping the district financially stable while being conscious of the fiscal responsibility to the taxpayer. By being on the legislative committee, the budget advisory committee, as a former community member, to now as the Board of Ed liaison for legislative, budget, and diversity committees, I get to see those goals come to fruition. As one of the board liaisons for our legislative committee, I'm extremely proud that we've been successful in getting legislation proposed that will mandate school-specific training for every security guard in the state. This is quite an accomplishment, and I'm proud that Sachem's a leader in this endeavor. Soon, the committee is moving on to the next important issue of addressing current mandates of region exams being required for graduation. As a liaison on the Budget Advisory Committee, I've ensured that we've provided financial transparency and encouraged community oversight and input. As a former parent member in special education, I made sure that students receive the services they need and the parents receive the support they need. I continue to advocate for all our students to reach their potential, including those in special education. As a liaison for the Diversity Committee, I get to see DEI in real time and the positive impact it has on our students, staff, and Sachem community. I've fought hard to expand community involvement to increase numbers of volunteers selected for these committees. One of the things I'm most proud of is my ability to work together collaboratively with the other trustees, administration, teachers, staff, and the community. I'm proud to say through times of when we don't see eye to eye, I'm able to listen, be respectful, work together. I value everyone's contributions. I've also attended NYSBA conventions for professional development to support my knowledge and growth as a Board of Ed trustee. The community deserves a trustee that has the utmost respect for the position like I do and who values professionalism. I can see Sachem going forward in a positive direction. I'm proud to be part of the solution to help Sachem continue to be as great as it is. Thank you for this opportunity.
Thank you, Stephanie. Okay. The first question will go to Matthew. What is your vision for the future of Sachem?
My vision for the future of Sachem, well, I see Sachem as as one of the largest districts in New York. I see Sachem emerging as a true leader. I think we have made some strides to set examples, to be the first district to do certain things, such as we've been working towards having that certification for the security guards. That's what I see for Sachem.
Thank you. Christopher?
As one of the largest districts in New York State, I feel like we need to push and be one of the leaders. We need to have more local control. Some of the things that I think that we can accomplish with Sachem is getting a local diploma back for our kids, getting rid of some of the Regents exams that I know are really, really tough for them to pass. And then I also have here notes about changing. So when we move away from the Regents projects, we do need Regents exams. We will need to have something in place. And I know that something that's been spoken about was project-based learning. So I think that Sachem could be one of the leaders, or maybe even have that as one of the test programs. Thank you.
Thank you. Robert?
Admitted is really not a lot of time to talk about vision moving forward, but we've come a long way. I think the most important thing that the communities understand is that we've gone through some really hard times in Sachem, and to be fiscally responsible and sustainable is very important. People are seeing taxes going up quite a bit, and making sure that every single purchase we make, is made that is well thought out, and we understand the impact and sustainability of it. As Matt touched upon, security is a big issue. I mean, we live in a different time right now where you're starting to see more and more violence taking place in schools. So to continue to improve our security, adding additional security guards, the vestibules is something that was fantastic. And like I said, our main goal as a board member is really to improve student performance, continue to strive to make our students better, to make them more successful. But I would agree with a lot of what was said here, Regents exams going back to a local diploma so that our students could, reach success.
Thank you. Stephanie?
I agree with the Regents diploma. It's something we've been working on as a board together. One of the things there's a few things. We need to have adequate funding. Obviously, it's always an issue. Meeting the needs of all our students' population, retaining staff and teachers. We're having an issue with that. And then maintaining and upgrading school facilities. The other thing that's of real importance to me that I see is something we could foster is creating unity in Sachem. I think if we all decided to work together instead of arguing and creating divides in the community, it would have positive impact on our children and their educational goals.
Thank you. Okay, this question will start with Christopher. What are your expectations with the new foundation aid formula?
So I served on the Budget Advisory Committee this year, and Michelle made it very clear to us that with the new foundation aid program, there's a chance that we could get a 0% increase. So that's a really, really big concern. I have some of the numbers here from the Budget Advisory Committee. So we get $136 million in state aid. It's almost 38% of our budget. So if we don't get that increase, it's going to be really tough for us to fund some of these programs that we're looking to do next year.
Thank you. Robert?
New foundation aid formula, it's been discussed over the last couple of years. Sachem has been held harmless for the last couple of years, but what you hear is, we received tens of millions of dollars in foundation aid. And we know for the last couple of years, we've been overfunded in the foundation aid. Not to Sachem's fault, but to turn around and deduct $3, $6, $10 million from us is going to lead us back to a path where we're going to end up having to use reserves. I've been in communication with our local elected officials, and I know I've spoken to our assemblyman that is within our district, Assemblyman Smith, about continue that hold harmless so that Sachem is not penalized. So we don't go back to a time where we now have to go into reserves and start cutting, co-curricular opportunities in educational facing programs for our kids. So it is a major concern of mine.
Thank you. Stephanie?
We've worked hard to get out of the financial distress of the past, and to think that it's possible that we could be there again because of no fault of our own through funding from the state is a huge concern. We need to continue to focus on having a open dialogue with the community and be laser focused on making sure our budgets are reasonable and that we have the appropriate funding. The hold harmless is of utmost importance, and I'm hoping that we can advocate for the state to make sure going forward we don't have too many cuts, because no one wants to see anything taken away from our students.
Thank you. Matthew?
Yeah, I'm not sure much more is left to be said. Yeah, I think it's all, we have to lobby, so these funds are not reduced to where the last thing we want to do is to touch the reserves. I think that's where Sachem has gotten into trouble in the past. So, yeah, I mean, we just have to do our best to get our politicians in New York to help us out.
Thank you. This question will begin with Robert. Do you agree that parents should be involved and have an input regarding their own child's education, and that this right does not extend to other children within the school system?
Yeah, I truly believe in parent choice. I mean, I think it's important for parents to get very involved in students' education. I think they should be part of some of the discussions that take place with regards to curriculum, field trips, co-curricular activities for kids. Absolutely. Where I have to kind of draw the line is that I know parents sometimes in the last 2 or 3 years, especially during those really difficult times with masking, want to make decisions about health and science and things like that sometimes is out of the control of the Board of Education. And then many times in this very boardroom, I directed them to our local officials that make those decisions at the state level. But as stewards of the state, and stewards of the education department, we can't break the law. Okay, we kind of have to draw the line there. Otherwise, we risk losing our funding, losing our superintendents, and actually losing our positions. So I believe in parents' choice, but we have to stay within. We have to follow the rules as well.
Thank you. Stephanie?
I fully believe that parents should be offered every opportunity to be involved in their children's education. One of the big, close to my heart is having our committees filled with as many parents as we could have. This year we had so many people volunteer and step up for our community, and we've done amazing work on those Board of Education committees. So that's one way. I would encourage everyone to be involved in their PTA, attend board meetings, get on the curriculum council. I really think that Sachem offers a lot of opportunity, but we may need to be a little bit more vocal on how parents can take that opportunity and be involved.
Thank you. Matthew?
So as a special ed teacher, our whole vibe is team, and the team includes the parent. So I think the parents are a very important part of the team in education. And of course, there are times that I hope the parents refer to the professionals that might know what they're doing. But the parents should also always have that feeling that they're involved and that they are. Sorry, the time distracted me. So yeah, I think it's very important.
Thank you. Christopher?
I definitely agree that the parents need to be involved. We have tremendous opportunities within the community to get on different committees. I've served on the legislative committee last year, the budget advisory committee this year. I plan to serve on the curriculum committee the following year. I think what we could do a better job as board members is educating the community on where they can get access to this information or the different committees that they could sign up for. We could start at the local PTAs, just explaining to them what the board members do, what their roles are, just so people are more educated and then they know who to reach out to, like chain of command. Thank you.
Thank you. This question will start with Stephanie. What are your viewpoints on having a medical organization such as Northwell involved in our schools, and how do you propose we move forward to support students?
It's been an incredible program and a huge help. I do know, being it was the first year that we've offered it, that there were some, issues that we need to address, but they were minor. It's of utmost importance that we have this and expanded services for people who need mental health, including our staff. We're at a crisis. And one of the things I've learned at our conventions is how dire of a crisis it is. So I fully support any kind of expansion, modification to make that better and more accessible for our students and our staff.
Thank you. Matthew?
I couldn't feel stronger about our connection with Northwell. I think our kids, their emotional well-being is in danger. It's nothing new, but they have to worry about a lot more things lately. I've personally known unfortunately, many students that have taken their own lives because they felt like they had nowhere to go, including my older brother. So, I'm a big advocate for it. And, yep.
Thank you. Christopher?
I think mental health is very important. It is a little concerning to me that the Northwell partnership, I have received some emails from them that I didn't think were appropriate topics to be discussed with children. I don't know. Again, I reached out about that, and they said, a lot of these emails are just going to parents. They're not really going to the students. Obviously, everybody knows after what happened with COVID, there's a lot of help that these kids need. My son is 11. He struggled 9, and he struggles with anxiety about being in the classroom. So again, I agree with mental health. I don't know, with some of those emails that I received, it was a little bit troubling to me.
Thank you. Robert?
I supported the arrangement and partnership with Northwell Health when it was presented to us. In 31 years of education, we're starting to see kids more and more come to school with a lot more anxiety and stress and pressure. And certainly post-COVID, all it did was contribute to the problem, to the point where I don't even know that we've seen the full extent of the impact that COVID has had on our children. So the fact that we were hearing time and time again that it was taking 2 and 3 months, to get an appointment to meet with a mental health expert, it was unacceptable. So our relationship with them allows us to speed up that time and allows us to get our kids in to see a specialist much sooner. And I'm glad we got on it when we did, because my understanding now is that there's actually a waiting list of schools to get in that's 12 school districts deep. So the fact that we got in on the ground floor, there's going to be a lot of groups, a lot of organizations and schools waiting a long time to actually get into Northwell. So I'm glad we did it. I think it's a benefit to our students.
Thank you. Oh, I'm so sorry. Okay, she's done. You're done. Okay. Next. No problem. As a future board trustee, how do you feel about the recent opening of a charter school in our community? And can you explain any impact it may have on our district?
So, yeah, charter schools are, they're like a cancer to education. Charter schools are a business. They're not real schools. They're interested in making a profit. They don't really care about the product they put out, and that's the student. Of course, that's my opinion. A little strong. But charter schools are going to take money from our district, money we can't afford to lose. We're talking about a lot of money. And again, they don't really care about the Sachem students. They care about the bottom line, like any other business. So I think it's imperative that we fight these charters. Am I done?
Thank you.
Charter schools, and there you go.
Thank you. Christopher?
All right, so I really wasn't educated on charter schools, so I reached out to somebody who I thought was much smarter than me, and is a current board member. So as a business owner, we always think that competition is a good thing. The more businesses you have, it produces more opportunities for you. But as a trustee, charter schools really have an unfair advantage. They're allowed to take the money that they have and allocate it towards certain things that public schools aren't allowed to. They also stop diversity because it's based on the choice of the school. The school will pick and choose who they allow to be in the school. It's not like a public school where they let everybody in and everybody has an opportunity to get an education. I also have to say that that current charter that I know everybody's talking about was not approved to be within our district. So I would have to defer to, like I said, people that are smarter than me, educators that think that this is not a good idea and that we should fight against the charter school.
Thank you. Robert?
I don't want this to sound the wrong way. I think charter schools provide a service when they're backed by large corporations in very low performing school districts. So if you're in an inner city school district where the school is ridden with crime, okay, the charter school might be an option for a child to be successful. Here in Sachem, we're not a low performing school district. We have 96% graduation rate. The charter school that we're referring to sent a 573 page application to the state for approval to support 3 districts, okay, that were in need of a charter school. They took temporary residents in Sachem with the understanding that they were going to allow those students to come and not work within Sachem. They are going to deplete millions of dollars from our budget, and it's going to be a problem for us, especially when we're talking about the foundation aid formula changing. They could end up taking $5 to $10 million in 5 years out of Sachem's budget, which means less opportunities for our kids. So this is something that has to be fought. This is something that we're not gonna allow to happen if we can.
Thank you. Stephanie?
Charter schools basically defund public education, and they will definitely create a financial burden for Sachem. They divert funds away from our Sachem schools, and also they're privately run institutions. The funds would otherwise go to Sachem are now diverted to private companies. Sachem will experience the added burden of the tuition for these students, their transportation, and any academic support services that they would need, but could and will be at the expense of our students currently in district. An issue that I have with how the charter schools are run is that it's a lottery system, and they don't necessarily have to take students who have high need, which then creates an artificial achievement gap and makes them look like they're doing better than our students here in district. Thanks.
Thank you. Christopher, you'll start this question. How do you feel about the name mascot change mandate from the state?
So I had a conversation with Dr. Pelletieri last week about the name change. I don't think that the school should have to change the name. I think what we need to do first is fight for local control. We need to be, since we're one of the largest school districts, we need to be on that committee to speak about how this would affect us. So I know as a business owner that the cost of branding alone, changing the name, changing the mascot, all those things is going to cost millions of dollars. And that's money that's taken away from our children. The summer enrichment programs would probably all have to stop. A lot of the extracurricular activities would have to stop if we do have to change this name. And then one of the things that I remember growing up as a kid was Tecumseh. That was my home school. Tecumseh was a Shawnee name for shooting star. We learned a lot about these figures in our schools, and I think we should continue to teach our kids about them.
Thank you. Robert?
Sachem is loaded with pride and history, and the name Sachem, obviously, in all of the schools, really was to memorialize the Native American Indians, not to discredit them or to be used in a derogatory manner. I understand, looking through the lenses, of and the thoughts of the people that have brought this mandate upon us. There are certain logos and certain mascots that are derogatory. In Sachem, it was never meant to be that way. The arrowheads were used by, many civilizations and cultures, outside of Native American Indians. So the thing is, I understand the thought process, but some of what was mentioned here, it's going to cost us millions of dollars to do it. We have brand new turf fields that we now have to rip up the center and change. And this becomes another unfunded mandate on top of the tons of unfunded mandates we have now, which is going to take away from opportunities of our kids. So certainly looking to work with some of our local Native Americans to get their support and get past this as best we can.
Thank you. Stephanie?
We all love Sachem. I think we need to use an approach that's measured and that we can meet with stakeholders, make a plan together. Unfortunately, this is going to be mandated by the state, and we just have to make sure we become part of the conversation. This has been years in the making. There were court cases that just recently got appealed and then, ruled in favor for the state. So I think if we take a measured approach and have discussions with the people who are stakeholders and who are impacted by whatever our logo or, whatever the state says we need to change, we want the best possible outcome here. We are Sachem, and it's in all of us. So no one wants to have damaging change. Thanks.
Matthew?
So, not being a lifelong Sachemite, I'm not as passionate about it as my colleagues here are. However, I do recognize that Sachem is very attached to the arrowhead logo, and I understand that it used to use maybe some depictions that might have been considered offensive, and Sachem's gone away from that and has landed on this flaming arrowhead. If I thought something like this, I wouldn't want to offend anybody. In my brain, I can't figure out why an arrowhead would be offensive. I just feel like it is to honor. That's just, how I feel about that. The cartoonish mascots are bad.
Thank you. This question will begin with Robert. Are you in favor of CRT, SEL, and DEI?
CRT, absolutely not. I think CRT is geared towards a college program that's preparing people for the world of attorney, working as an attorney or in law. There are components of DEI, okay, and you say SEL as well,
SEL, yeah.
that I do agree with, providing that it doesn't cross that line. I truly believe in inclusion. I think every child, okay, regardless of what their abilities are, okay, what their educational, disabilities are, everybody should be included, okay, in education and should be made to feel as important as the next person. So certain components of it I do agree with, but when it starts to get to a point where it starts to create divide, I absolutely don't agree with that.
Thank you. Stephanie?
We don't have CRT in Sachem, and there's no plan to bring CRT into Sachem. Diversity, equity, inclusion, social emotional learning. I fully support that. I have a child who has special needs, and DEI, by definition, is giving him a chance to have an education that brings him to his potential. So the key word in that is equity. It's not, us against them. It's not giving some people something and other people nothing. It's bringing everybody to the same opportunity so that they can learn together and be at their potential.
Thank you. Matthew?
Yeah, I would agree with what was just said. Equity in learning. Students learn differently. They get taught differently. Everybody deserves great education. CRT, I've been teaching 26 years. I've never seen it. So obviously, I'm not for that. And DEI and SEL, I am.
Thank you. Christopher?
I definitely agree with Rob. CRT is a college level theory that does not belong in our elementary schools and middle schools. Diversity, equity, and income. I know it's a very contentious topic. The first bullet point of it it says specifically acknowledging the role that racism and bigotry have played and continue to play in the American story. So I get that, and I understand why diversity, equity, and inclusion are important. Those inclusion classes have done wonders for a lot of our special needs children, being able to put them with children that don't have, those needs. And I'll also end with, I do think that SEL is beneficial as long as it doesn't go under, the guise of CRT or DEI.
Thank you. This next question will begin with Stephanie. Are you capable of and willing to make decisions for our students, the district, by standing firm in your personal values, morals, by not basing any of your decisions on how others feel about a topic, or agreeing to go along to get along?
I was elected to represent a community, and so our personal opinions about something is not what we're up here for. We're here to represent what the community wants and what the students need. So forgive me if I don't fully understand what the question's asking, but my personal opinion is not what I'm here to represent. I'm here to represent the community.
Thank you. Matthew?
I do have my own opinions. I was elected. People that voted for me knew who I was, and I'm an educator, and I listen to people that reach out to me from the community. I definitely listen to them. I think it's sort of like what Stephanie's saying, but I do, I was elected, so they want me to make a decision based on my experience. So I think they're both important.
Thank you. Christopher?
So the board member goals straight from the website: provide safe and secure schools, enhance student achievement, quality of instruction and leadership, improve parent community, staff and communication, improve fiscal responsibility, and committed to providing the staff with necessary tools and support, you definitely have to go with those. You can't make it personal. You have to go based off of the board member goals.
Could you just repeat the question one more time?
Sure,
Uh-oh. There you look.
sure, thanks.
Because I know there was multiple parts to
Right.
it.
Are you capable and willing to make decisions for our students, the district, by standing firm in your personal values or morals and not basing any of your decisions on how others feel about?
Okay, so as a board member, you get elected to the Board of Education on your reputation, your values, your ideas, right from the start. There are times when issues are presented to the Board of Education, and we have to make some very difficult decisions. But I think what's important is to get the feedback from all of the stakeholders. A lot of times in a decision, if I'm undecided how I'm going to, decide, I'll pick up the phone and I'll call community members. I'll call members of the PTA. I've had conversations with people right in the audience today. I'll call teachers and staff that I know. Okay, so that when we make that final decision, okay, it's the right decision. It's a decision that's not going to hurt children, and a decision that's going to move the district in the right direction, which is to enhance student achievement. And I think you have to be open-minded, and you have to kind of see things through different lenses before you raise your hand and make that decision.
Thank you. Sorry, excuse me. This question starts with Matthew. Please explain why you support or do not support this year's school budget.
Well, I definitely support it. I think the this year's school budget, it's necessary to give our students the education they deserve, to do the things that need to be done in this district to keep it moving forward.
Thank you. Christopher?
Being a member of the Budget Advisory Committee, I have a lot of information about the budget. I definitely support the budget. I'm just trying to get some of the budget highlights here. So this budget is going to maintain all the current programs and services. It's going to continue to fund capital improvements through the transfer to capital appreciation code. We're going to hire 3 new E&L teachers, expand the new theater program to North High School, maintain middle school, college, and career programs, increase the deans time equivalency, and also hire clerical at each of the school to work with the deans. These are the reasons why I support the budget.
Thank you. Robert?
Yes, I absolutely support this year's budget. I think that it is once again, maintaining everything that we've had the previous year, student support services, counselors. It also throws an element of their security enhancements as well. The addition of 9 additional security guards. We're implementing license plate readers so that we know at any given time who's on our premise at any time. I think the budget's fiscally responsible. It does add additional staff members. We are adding E&L staff to handle the influx of students that are coming to our district. That English is their second language. And like I said, the combination of the capital projects, beautification of our facilities, putting new turf fields down for our students to play on. The following year, we're going to be looking to put additional turf fields down, once again, for our softball players at both of our high schools. So I think it's a nice balance of everything. And the best part is that in a lot of those capital projects, we're getting 76% back in state aid. Right? So we're really paying 24% on the dollar, okay, for those enhancements.
Thank you. Stephanie?
I fully support the budget. It was created with a lot of work, not only from the Board of Education. Our superintendent of business is incredible. She has found ways to increase revenue and keep our budget within the cap. Also, on the Budget Advisory Committee, I'm the Board of Ed liaison. The amount of talent we had look through the budget, I've never seen before in the district as a volunteer on those committees. We had people go line by line through every single thing of the budget, and it was incredible to watch. And it's a sound budget, and I fully support it.
Thank you. Christopher? I'm sorry. Bear with me. Okay, the primary role of the Board of Education is to 1, appoint the superintendent of schools, 2, adopt the annual budget and ensure funds approved by voters in the district are managed appropriately. And 3, adopt policies and regulations that implement federal and state education law and regulations. Please describe how you are prepared to fulfill this role if elected as a trustee of the Sachem School Board.
Can you repeat that one more time?
Sure.
There's a lot to
It
that
is.
question.
Okay.
That's
Okay, so I'm going to paraphrase.
sure.
The primary role of the Board of Education is to appoint the superintendent. You adopt and maintain the annual budget and ensure that the funds approved by the voters are managed appropriately. And you adopt and maintain the policies and regulations that are implemented by the federal and state laws. Please describe how you are prepared to fulfill this role if elected.
Okay, so I'll start with the first one, appoint the superintendent. Luckily, we have a fantastic superintendent who is locked up for a pretty long time. Next one is adopt and maintain the budget. I was on the budget advisory committee this year. I feel like I have a really good understanding after working with Michelle Sarkakis and Ron Sachs on a lot of the information, and it was a lot of information. Like Stephanie said, we went through that budget line item by line item. And then obviously I'll adopt and maintain, what was the last part of the
Maintain the funds?
funds?
Yes.
So that's just through making fiscal responsibilities. I'm a small business owner. I have 4 children. I really know how to stretch a dollar, especially when it comes to spending responsibility.
Thank you. Robert?
There's definitely a lot going on in that question. The main responsibility of the Board of Education is really to enhance the opportunities for, to promote student performance. I mean, our goal is to make our educational practices better through proper initiatives. Continue to build upon what's working, take out what's not working. As far as fiduciary responsibility, we have to remain fiscally responsible to our community. We have to make sure that taxes, our community is not being out taxed out of their own homes, that they've lived here their entire lives, and now all of a sudden getting an 8 or 10% increase. We have to watch spending. We have to watch every penny that's spent to make sure it's spent wisely, whether or not we can get aid on it. So we are fiscally responsible. So we're never back in a position where we're forced to cut things. With regards to our superintendent, we all locked with Dr. Pelletieri for 4 years. It's exactly what Sachem needed. A person who is receptive, approachable, reaches out to the community at times in need, and steps up, to really kind of embrace the Sachem community. So, thank you.
Thank you. Stephanie?
This term's a 3-year term, and we will not be needing to hire a new superintendent, hopefully. So that job was done by everybody prior to me. So I appreciate that tremendously. The budget, we just explained how intense that process is and how involved everyone was. Again, singing the praises of the Budget Advisory Committee. They really went through this, and Michelle, who crafted such amazing strategies to make sure we had the funding and even additional funding. Policy and procedures is something that comes through the Board of Education on, I wouldn't say on the regular, but it does a lot. We've done small changes. I've only been on the board for a year, so I haven't seen a tremendous amount of it, but I am prepared to go forward with making the changes that are needed.
Thank you. Matthew?
All right. Point 1, superintendent. Yeah, I was part of the hiring process for our last superintendent. You're welcome, Stephanie. That was, we took it very seriously, and I believe we found the right person. The other things, the funds, policies, and procedures. We get Friday packets and we read through all the financials and all the expenditures, and I know most of us take a lot of time to go through them and look for question whether or not the monies are being spent wisely. And as Rob said, it is our responsibility to always be fiscally responsible. And then the main task of what we do is to, oh, I knew it was coming, make sure that our kids are getting the best education ever.
Thank you. Okay. This question starts with Robert. How will you, as a trustee, work with fellow board members, district staff, parent-teacher organizations, and community organizations to promote respect, dignity, inclusion, equitable treatment, and access to programs and opportunities to all district students?
Well, first of all, it's the responsibility of anybody that gets elected to this board to work collaboratively with everybody, your fellow board members. We may not always agree as a board up here, but it's got to be done with respect, okay, and dignity. You know, like I said, it's very important to understand the viewpoints of different folks, all of the stakeholders, from our community members to our staff, to our teachers, to our administration, and make those wise decisions. But in order to get things done, okay, you have to work as a collective group to move the district forward. And at the end of each session, you have to be willing to, at the end of the night, shake hands and settle things and resolve things, differences that you might have within the boardroom. But the art of respect is lost. We need to bring that respect back, and it starts here. We have to be role models for our student members, and being role models means modeling that behavior for them. So it's very, very important to work, whether we agree or not, is to work collaboratively to come up with the best solution and find some middle ground.
Thank you. Stephanie?
I think one of the biggest things to help promote dignity, respect, inclusion is to listen, to be open to discussion, to have your opinion not predetermined. Communication is of utmost importance, especially in something that could be as emotional as a student's education. We really need to work together to be able to find solutions to problems, but also to be able to create a great education for our students.
Thank you. Matthew?
Would you mind repeating that question?
Sure.
Thank you.
How will you, as a trustee, work with fellow board members, district staff, parent-teacher student organizations, and community organizations to promote respect, dignity, inclusion, equitable treatment, and access to programs and opportunities to all district students?
Wow. So, so I come from a place in my head where I believe that everybody that sits up at this day is we're not getting paid. So we're all here for the right reasons. And that's what I always try to remember. So even if I disagree with something someone's saying, it's coming from a good place. I strive during board meetings I strive to be calm. I'm not known to be, hot-headed or anything. I'm kind of proud of the board lately. We've really come a long way since the past. But yeah.
Thank you. Christopher?
So I think two good words are empathy and respect. So you want to listen to what everybody has to say and remember that there are feelings and there are thoughts or values that are behind those feelings. So as long as you're respectful with everybody, we had great conversation in the back, even though we're all running against each other. Everybody here is volunteering to do what they think is best for the children.
Thank you. This will be the last question. And it will begin with Stephanie. I was getting there, sorry. Okay. Nah, I appreciate it. Look, I need all the help. I know you're going, Stephanie, that's okay. Okay. If elected, how would you handle situations where the Board of Education must implement a rule or regulation from New York State that you do not personally agree with?
We are sworn to uphold New York State Department of Education mandates. So I would strive to make it as painless to the community as possible, but also financially responsible. There's really no way to go against our oath. With that said, I would advocate like crazy for Sachem.
Thank you. Matthew?
So we were faced with this a couple of years ago with the mask mandate, where many of us in Sachem, we wanted to take the masks off in the schools, but we were mandated that we couldn't. And there were a lot of people that were very angry with us. But we took an oath to uphold the law, and that was difficult because we heard the people, we really did, but we couldn't, break our oath. So we faced that.
Thank you. Christopher?
I mean, I think that probably the most recent thing that everybody has in their mind is the mask mandates. Everybody up here probably really disliked me during that time period because I sent a lot of emails about that. But as a board trustee, like everybody said, you have a responsibility and an oath. We can't lose that money from New York State. But what I promise to do is give the community the information that they need so they can advocate, so that they could reach out to the assemblymen and the legislators and all of those people to hopefully influence the change.
Thank you. Robert?
I think it's important. There's going to be a lot of things that the state just hands down to us as mandates that we don't agree with. Unfortunately, sometimes we have to comply with them. But I think there's steps along the way that you could take, such as advocating with your local elected officials. I had an opportunity, back in 2012 when Sachem was being shorted $25 million a year on the gap elimination, to actually go up to the state and work as a team with our administration, 300 teachers, okay, to speak actually on the floor of the Capitol about these unfunded mandates. And I think that before we just cave in, okay, that we take every step and take every measure to make sure that we fight, okay, what's important to our community. And we've been fighting for local control forever. It's something that we have to continue to fight for. We have to get local control back. We're elected by our community to make decisions for our community, and sometimes the state doesn't allow that to happen. So we have to comply, but we could always comply with the fight as well.
Thank you. We're going to start with our closing statements. Each candidate gets 2 minutes. We will begin in reverse order. So Stephanie?
I would like to thank the PTA Council for providing this opportunity and for the community for coming out tonight and the other candidates. Normally a term's 3 years, and I was elected last year to a 1-year seat. That gives me a fresh insight on all things Sachem, and I want to close on focusing on the key issues coming down the road for our district. First, financial stability. Costs have risen tremendously in Sachem, as everyone can see in their own homes. COVID grants are expiring, and we need to keep a measured approach when creating our budgets. They will be tighter than ever before, and I promise to keep a responsible approach to the district's future financial decisions. I will also protect public education in any attempt to defund it. Safety is of utmost concern, and I'm shocked it didn't come up tonight. I will, if reelected, press for professionals to come from all departments, from Suffolk County PD, Homeland Security, sheriffs, anywhere else that we can get top experts to determine the best ways to protect our students and our staff. Obviously, mental health resources for students and the community need to continue. Too many students and staff need our help. I fully support the initiatives we've taken so far. We need to protect but enhance those resources to make sure our students get the services they need to be successful and healthy while in school, but also as they go on to their adult lives. Students need the opportunity to be successful adults, whether it's straight to work vocational programs, college path, or to support transition programs. We need to make sure students have a place to fit in, and make sure students are given the tools to be able to go on to be successful people. I said it last year, and I'm going to say it again. I advocate for your child as if they're my own. I appreciate all the support, and I'm so grateful for everyone's faith in me. Sachem is close to my heart, and I'm honored to sit as a trustee, so I ask for your support on May 16th, and vote yes to the budget.
Thank you.
I'm going to do this as quick as I can. I want to start by thanking all of the community members for coming out tonight, give us an opportunity to voice our thoughts and positions. I also like to thank the PTA Council for all the time and effort that they put in throughout the school year for our children in making this evening's event possible. If you would ask someone who's known me for a period of time to describe the type of person I am, I'm confident they would say such things as a logical thinker that's fair, consistent, spends a considerable amount of time looking at issues from different perspectives, extremely approachable, professional, empathetic to the needs of students, not afraid to voice my opinion, okay, even if it's the least popular in the opinions of others. It is motivated not by prosperity or self-recognition, but by making a positive difference in the lives of others, especially our children. If reelected, I promise that over the next 3 years, I'm going to continue to serve as an advocate and a voice for our children of Sachem. We'll support the highest quality of educational programs, support security enhancements and job-specific security training for our staff that will help create a safe and secure learning environment for our children. I'll continue to lobby our local politicians to fight for our fair share of state aid, as well as lobby to reduce the number of unfunded mandates that puts a tremendous burden on our taxpayers in the Sachem community. I will continue to act in a manner that is fiscally responsible to our taxpayers and community throughout justified and prioritized spending practices, and I will support the positive teaching strategies and educational initiatives that lead to the improved student achievement and educational excellence. As I mentioned earlier, my goal tonight was to give a better sense of who I am and what I stand for, and as I leave you tonight, I hope that I've achieved that goal and earned your support. I also would like to thank all of the members that are up here, and I wish them tremendous success and luck in this year's election. And as Stephanie said, please support the budget. Thank you.
Christopher?
So I want to thank everybody, PTA Council, all the community members that came out tonight. I also wanted to address security because it wasn't a question that was brought up. I just wanted to say there is a right and a wrong way to handle security, and we need to bring in the right people to evaluate it. Making our kids and staff safe is my #1 priority, but it needs to also be done right and budgeted for appropriately. I also encourage everybody in this room, watching online, please reach out to the candidates. This is a very, very short venue. 1 minute, 2 minute responses aren't enough to get a full gauge of how everybody truly feels. All my contact information is out there. Please email me, call me on the phone. I definitely want to be available for the community, but thank you all for allowing me this opportunity.
Thank you. Matthew?
Like everyone said, thank you again to the PTA and anyone that was involved in making this night possible. I believe that in the last 3 years, I've shown to be always for the kids, always supported the Sachem staff, a normal, level-headed person who values common sense, a calm, logical person who doesn't think with emotions, someone who voices my opinions even if they're unpopular, a person who keeps his politics out of the boardroom, a person that is always approachable to all, someone who is always professional and kind to all, always tried to be fiscally responsible, someone that understands the world of education, listen to the Sachem community and do what's right for our kids. I hope that I can have your support so that I continue to fight for our kids' safety and well-being by supporting the initiatives to having a certification of school-specific training for security guards, strive to increase the level of education that our kids receive through program enhancements through state funding, encourage transparency with our curriculum, give the parents a feeling of ownership, fight for local control. Good luck to my fellow candidates, and however the Sachem people vote, I will support the outcome. I'd like to say in closing that I'm honored to have been on the board for the last 3 years. I'm very proud of the accomplishments while on the board. I've taken 2 oaths in my life, one in the United States Army and one in the Sachem School Board, and I've taken and continue to take them very seriously. Thank you and good night.
Thank you all for coming out. Good luck to the candidates. Thank you, Suffolk Region, for moderating this evening.